Welcome back to the final question technique video in this series. Let's jump in and get started on question 10. This is the question that we're going to be stepping through. A large multinational online training portal is implementing some upgrades to track student behaviour. They have hundreds of millions of students with around 1 million active students per day. The business wants to analyse customer click streams, reviewing what customers do in near real time. Additionally, the business would like to consume that data for presentation onto dashboards within various business units. What AWS product should be selected to provide the backbone of this feature? Choose one. Now, I wanted to give you a question of this type because this is the type of question I see in many of the pro-level exam questions. It all comes down to identifying the important keywords because often one single word can direct you to select the correct answer. So why don't you pause the video and then review the question, attempt to identify any particular keyword or keywords or any other items of significance, and then we can move on and review it together. Okay, so hopefully you've attempted to do this yourself. Let's move on and take a look at what I identified in this question. Now, I think there are only 4 bits of interesting information in this question. First, that the business has millions of active students per day. This gives you an idea on the load levels of this application. Second, the word clickstream, and more on this in a second because this is actually the important point of this question. And then the third and fourth point is that the business would like to consume this data in various, i.e. more than one business units. So this gives us all of the information that we need to select the correct answer. So what answers do we actually have for this question? Well, we only have 4 answers in this case. We have SQS, Kinesis video streams, Kinesis data streams, and then DynamoDB streams. So the question really focuses around the ingestion of data around the clickstream of customers of this business. So a clickstream is a term that's used to describe how a user interacts with a web-based application. So where their mouse moves, which buttons they click on, how they interact with the user interface. And this can be a fairly large amount of data per customer. Multiply this by 1 million active customers per day and you have a potentially huge amount of data which needs to be ingested into AWS. When you hear the term data ingestion or ingestion of data, then you should think of Kinesis. Kinesis is the product that's ideally designed to ingest data into AWS. Now, SQS in this case is not a valid selection. SQS provides managed queues. Queues are designed to separate different components of an application, and they're an excellent way to decouple application components. They're not a tool for the large-scale ingestion of data, specifically clickstream data. If you see clickstream, then you should think of Kinesis. Specifically, though, Kinesis data streams. So Kinesis video streams is a product that's designed for ingestion of video data. It's not used for this type of architecture. So Kinesis video streams logically think video, data streams think data. Now, logically, this is pushing us towards selecting Kinesis data streams as the correct answer, but I need you to be aware of why. The final answer is DynamoDB streams. Now, this is not the correct product to use in this architecture. DynamoDB streams is a feature of DynamoDB which can be enabled on a per table basis, and a stream event is generated whenever data within a table changes, and it can be used to implement a trigger style architecture for DynamoDB. So clearly, this is also not the right solution because we're not dealing with the DynamoDB architecture. There's no mention of that product within the question, and we're not dealing with the change of data in a database table. The correct answer is Kinesis data streams. Kinesis data streams allow us to provision a scalable data ingestion point within AWS. It can be used for any entities wanting to push data or publish data data into AWS. So it provides a scalable endpoint. It uses a sharded architecture, so from a functional perspective, it's capable of infinite scalability. Now, it's also a product which provides a rolling window of any data which it ingests, and it allows this data to be consumed by multiple consumers. So if you see any questions which talk about the consumption of data by multiple entities, different business units, different applications, or different teams, then you should also think about using Kinesis. The fact that this is data rather than video lends the answer to be Kinesis data streams. If you see click streams mentioned, then this is an ideal use case for Kinesis data streams. Click streams is one of the perfect use cases for Kinesis data streams. So if you do see this mentioned in any question and Kinesis data streams is a potential answer, then you should absolutely default to that answer and only change if you have significant reason to believe one of the other answers is correct. Now, with that being said, that's everything that I wanted to cover in this lesson. This question is designed mainly to highlight how one particular keyword can be the reason to pick one answer out of many possibles. Now, this is the last question technique video in this series. What follows are 2 full professional level practice exams that you can use to confirm your knowledge before booking and taking the full certification exam via AWS once you've fully completed the course. So with that being said, that's everything I wanted to cover in this lesson. Go ahead and complete this lesson, and when you're ready, I look forward to you joining me in the next.